What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a video that I think is extremely important, and it's something that I think we as bass fishermen as a whole take for granted, and we don't necessarily pay as much attention to it as we need to, especially if we're touring anglers fishing a lot of different large fisheries around the country. This is something that I think that people don't really pay attention to enough, and that's safety. I know safety can be kind of boring. We all just want to go fast and send it hard every single time we go to the water in these tournaments. But my background, I've been working in Alaska for 16 years during the summertime, so I'll go up there and battle a lot of the real big water, the dangerous water out there. And because we're so isolated, and the only people that can help us out is Coast Guard, they'll get there in probably 18 to 25 minutes. It's really important for me to carry a bag, a kit, an emergency kit that pretty much can cover all my bases as far as safety. And it's something that I'll admit I have really taken for granted over the years. And I had one instance in California when I was working on a crab boat, just for some extra money, where it was just me and the captain, and we were on this crab boat that had this big diesel engine, really loud. I'm not back there just chopping away at some bait, trying to get these bait blocks all broken down, and I wasn't wearing a life jacket, and we kind of hit a roller and I lost my balance and I almost went overboard. And at that moment I realized that there's no way he would have been able to hear me if I was screaming, and he likely wouldn't even realize that I was gone for 30 minutes until we got to our stop. So it is so important to make sure that you have proper safety equipment and you think about those things. Last year fishing Lake Erie, I was driving from Sandusky, Ohio, across Lake Erie, 45 miles to the base of the Detroit River, and I was battling 4 to 6 foot waves the entire way there, and that's when I realized, I'm like, man, I need to use the emergency pack that I use in Alaska for my bass fishing. I owe it to myself, I owe it to my marshal or my co-angler, and I owe it to my family. I owe it to a lot of people to make sure that I have the proper safety equipment to help me get back home safely and to survive the extremes. The likelihood that we're going to have to use most of this stuff is very low, and some of it's a little a lot of people are going to consider it overkill, but I think it's very important to be able to cover my bases in a lot of different situations. Again, I'm also responsible for a marshal or a co-angler, so I take this very seriously. So I wanted to show you the emergency bag that I carry with me, the emergency equipment. I let my marshal or co-angler know, or whoever's with me, whenever we're fishing, that I've got this bag, and that if something happens, whether I have a medical condition, or I go overboard, or if we're in some rough waters that we may not be able to get out of, this bag is the bag to reach for. And it's essentially, I've got a Yeti duffel bag, waterproof, on the outside. We've got a whistle. That's one of the most important devices that you've got as far as safety while boating. It's required by law. But we've got the whistle on the outside. The bag itself is watertight and it will float. But inside is where all the great safety gear is. Again, there's a lot of stuff in here that could be considered a little bit overkill, but we're going to go through it, and I'm going to tell you why I bring it. So the first thing is a first aid kit. Having a good first aid kit with a lot of different materials to handle a lot of different situations is really important. This one right here has got all this stuff on the back. It's got a pretty comprehensive list of equipment that can you know, be used for you know, anything that happens on the water, and I've used it several times. Usually it's just, you know, somebody hooking themselves, or, you know, getting a small cut or something like that, but there's a lot of stuff in here that can help for larger things too. So including a CPR mask. I think that's one of the most important things that a lot of people don't carry. You know, carrying a CPR mask is really, really important. So first aid kit is the very first thing that's in this bag. And because we're talking about first aid, let me get into this here. So another thing that I carry with me, I'm CPR, because I have a U.S. Coast Guard captain's license. I'm also required to have a first aid and CPR certification, but I also carry these laminated cards for a first aid and CPR. So if I need a refresher, or the person that I'm with doesn't know how to take care of me if I have an issue, they can refer to these cards, and I'll let them know that that's in there. So it's really important to not only have the first aid and all the safety equipment, but to have, you know, the information that helps whoever's with you kind of you know, figure out how to treat you in that situation. Another thing I do, I've also got another book. You know, these books right here are pretty cool. I carry these with me in Alaska. A lot of this stuff I carry with me in Alaska. This is kind of the reason why this is pretty a comprehensive emergency pack, is because I use the same thing in Alaska. But I have an outdoor medicine book. It goes through all kinds of different, you know, stuff. You know, if we're out there in the bush, got all kinds of critical skills in this book, so that's really important. Outdoor survival, I mean, you're probably going to laugh at this, because, I mean, you know, the likelihood that we're not going to be around anybody, or you know, be stuck out in the wilderness is a lot lower than it is in Alaska, but that risk is still there. There's still places in the country that, you know, if the boat was to you know, break down and we wash up on shore on one side of the shoreline, we may not have anybody around. So I just want to be prepared for that, so that we've got an outdoor survival book. Again, I use that in Alaska. I've never had to use it, but I've got it if I need it. All right, and also in that pocket, I've got a multi-tool. Multi-tool is really important. Carry that with me. That's an important survival device. We've also got this solar and kind of crank powered light. That is something that I carry with me just in case. We've got some fire making survival kit here. It's got some fire making material in there. Even if it's wet, I can start a fire. Again, the likelihood that I'm gonna have to start a fire down here in the lower 48 while I'm bass fishing is extremely low, but I wanna make sure that I'm prepared for it if I need it. Another thing I've got, One Wipe Charlie's. You know what that's for. And I've also got some toilet paper in here too, I believe. If I don't, then I've really got to update my pack. All right, the next thing I have, this right here is a emergency bivvy. So this is, you know, we've all seen those emergency blankets. They're kind of like foil colored. They're reflective blankets. Well, this is the same thing, but it's actually like a sleeping bag. So it's a full sleeping bag. So if I'm caught out there, you know, in a cold night and I have to spend the night somewhere, I've got this to keep me warm. That's really important, and it's really small to carry with you. Flares, handheld flares. These are really important. These are something that I definitely carry with me in Alaska, and I also carry with me out here in my bass boat. All right, so this one right here, this box right here, this is a pretty important box. I think this is probably one of the more important items in here. Hopefully I'll never ever have to use it, but if I do, this box may save my life and the life of whoever I'm fishing with. First off, we've got a VHF handheld radio. Just put the antenna on there, but we've got that and all the charging equipment necessary to charge it. It's already fully charged. I try to keep it fully charged every single year, but that right there, this one is I believe a 6 watt This can reach, you know, probably 15, 20 miles to, you know, hail somebody like Coast Guard or any authorities to try to reach them and communicate with them in an emergency. This is something, especially if you're fishing the Great Lakes, this is a tool that I think that every single fisherman on the water should have, is a VHF radio. Learn how to use it. It's not too hard. You know, turn it to channel 16. That's the monitoring channel for you know, most authorities, and then, you know, you'll end up switching over to a channel like 9 or something like that. It also has emergency weather on it, so this is a really important tool, and it floats. I definitely always carry one of these with me in Alaska, but remember, it's not going to reach extremely far, so it's not the only tool that you'll need if you're traversing, you know, into the, you know, to real remote areas on the water. So, and the other thing that I think is really important and got a lot of people thinking about carrying after the tragedy on Lake Okeechobee several years ago, where an angler lost his life, unfortunately, is right here. This is a PLB, a personal locating beacon. This right here, a PLB is designed to be used as your last effort, you know, to be rescued. If you're out there in the wilderness, essentially, when you activate it, it will send a signal via satellite to all the authorities and give them your location, and it will help you find. It will help them find you. So you have to, once you buy these, you have to register them with NOAA, I believe, and that will allow you to be located if you end up going overboard, or you have a situation where your boat sinks or you're incapacitated on the water. This is going to really help you, and this is a device that I would have to say, I would think that every single bass fisherman out there, you know, especially in tournament fishing where we're sending it hard, you know, and pushing our limits, this is something that everybody should carry. Again, we are responsible for the people with us as well as our own lives and our families too. So having a PLB is a very cheap investment. This one right here was only $219 or something like that, and a lot of them cost a little bit more, but I would definitely invest in one of these. So that box, the little black box within this bag, is so super important for me, for those real emergency situations. And also VHF, I forgot to mention it, VHF, you can communicate with lockmasters and anybody you need to communicate with out there on the water, that on those fisheries that have, you know, locks or anything like that. So a little bit easier way to communicate with them sometimes than calling them on the phone. If you don't have cell phone reception, radio is good to have. So little black box, man, I'm telling you, that is what I'm most proud of as far as this emergency pack. It's something that I always carry with me in Alaska. And in Alaska, we've got EPIRBs in every single boat, which is very helpful. But you know, if you're on the land, a lot of times we'll go from the ocean onto land and walk up these river systems, and a PLB is really important there too. It's not just on the water. All right, moving on. So we've also got another bag right here. This bag has dry clothes, a dry set of clothes. I've got long underwear, you know, thermal gear. I've got a pack down jacket that packs into a small little package. I've got a beanie. I've got a set of real thick wool socks. Got some all kinds of extra stuff. So we've got a full set of clothes that I can get into to be dry if I fall in the water or something like that. I did 3 years ago or 2 years ago at Grand Lake. The final day of the FLW Tour event, now the MLF Pro Circuit event, I fell in the water, and it was only 18 degrees that morning. Good thing the wind wasn't blowing, but it was freezing. I ended up, you know, really being cold. Didn't have another, you know, set of clothes with me, so that's something I always carry with me now, and it's obviously something I carry with me in Alaska too. Let's see what else we got. More toilet paper. I'm glad that I had that in there. I was a little bit worried all I had was the one wipe Charlies, but always carry some toilet paper with you. You know why. And then got an extra pair of Wiley X's. These right here aren't my prescription. These are just, you know, a pair of regular glasses. So you know, if my co-angler or Marshall or anybody I'm fishing with doesn't have a pair of glasses, I'm a big believer in eye protection. If you're not fishing with glasses, you are much more likely to lose an eye and have an eye injury than if you were to wear these glasses. In fact, these are extremely impact resistant. They've got very high ratings as far as safety glasses go, and so I like to carry a spare of those with me. What else we got in here? I even got another spare of sunglasses. This is my prescription, so that's just for me. What else we got? I got a little Navionics. This is a little Navionics swag deal. You know, they gave it to me, but it's a good little waterproof bag. You know, if I had to keep, you know, my valuables waterproof, I can keep them waterproof in that. Of course, I've got a waterproof bag right here. All right, what else we got? All right, so I ended up, I've got some more one wipe Charlies. In the other side here, I've got some spare batteries. The spare batteries are for whatever I need them for. And then I've got another whistle. I didn't realize I had that in there. And then I've also got a charger. I usually carry a little, you know, handheld power pack in here. I'm not sure where it went. I must have taken it out, but I'm glad that I did this video, so I see that I took it out. But it's got all different types of connections on it. This is from YoloTech, and this is a great little device, little cord charging system to charge just about anything. So if I need to charge it, you know, paired with either, you know, a USB charger or a power pack, I can charge just about anything. So got that, and that is pretty much it. We're done with the emergency pack there. Of course, this doesn't include all the tools that I carry with me on the water. I'm going to be doing a video about all the tools that I carry with me on my boat to be able to fix just about anything that could go wrong. But that is the safety equipment that I carry. Again, I really think that we as bass fishermen and freshwater fishermen take safety for granted, and so I because of my experience in Alaska, I want to make sure that I take it seriously. I know what the water can offer as far as, you know, being really calm or extremely rough out there. I know things can change in an instant, and you know, if something goes wrong out there on the water, things can start going downhill very, very quickly. So I want to make sure that I'm prepared, just like I am in Alaska. Again, a lot of it's overkill, but I think if I do run into that situation where I'm responsible for myself and somebody else, I want to have all this equipment. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And also I want to hear what you would put in your emergency pack to make sure that you can pretty much handle anything that gets thrown at you. Again, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll see you out on the water.